All right, what's going on? Listen to King Cam Ujumbe Podcast, and Jube needs his message. And today is a special one. Today is a very special one. I'm excited to do it, and I'm just thankful that we're here one more time. So I'm grateful that you guys are here. Get you something to write on, something to write with. And today we're going to talk about Meskel, the hidden journey of the true cross. Yep. Yeah, that's what we're about to get into. So sit back, relax, get you something to write on, something to write with. I hope all is well with you. Yes, I have returned from my break, uh, quote unquote. So yeah, I know I could be difficult sometimes. I know it could be hard to deal with, but guess what? We are back, and I was really trying to do this last week, but I decided to not, okay, right when the festival was going. But shout out to the family in Ethiopia and the Nile Valley. And think about this: the night sky all over Addis Ababa on the eve of Meskel, a large crowd, a vast crowd in pure white at Meskel Square. Priests lift tall processional crosses draped in silk and their golden faces gleaming in the firelight. Yeah, the smell of frankincense, myrrh rises as thousands of voices chant in the ancient language of Ge'ez. I want to see that for myself. I want to actually go out there and take a road trip to Ethiopia during this time and really see it. So I'm really grateful. Don't forget to hit the like button and greet everybody as you come in. Yes, we're back. Greetings, Miss Blue. She says, greetings, everyone. Yeah, we're back in the mix. so, so get you something to write on, something to write with. Even though I was on break, I was not on break. Why? Because there's some other things that I have got. I decided to get some other books. Shout out to Baba Yakia, Shabaka. I got some other things. So, but this is a event that happens every year. Um, and they go and they speak in the ancient as language. Is this language? Get this, is older than Rome and older. I would say this older than the actual cross itself, in a sense. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you this. Let me go put this disclaimer out here. Let me hold on. Let me get out this. This is not a theology class. You understand? This is a history class. But since this is a major event that's happening in Eritrea, in parts of Sudan, and even get this, even the Coptic church in Ethiopia, we got to talk about it, right? Got to talk about it. So, yeah. They have the wood stacked in the Demara bonfire. The bonfire is lit and flames leap up into the night. And for Ethiopians, this is a festival, and this is an annual reminder of when Queen Helena, the mother of Emperor Constantine, discovered the cross. Because up until that time, a lot of European nations were not under the Christian banner. I'm just saying. So a lot of people would like to use the concept to say that Christianity is a white man's religion, whereas the Nile Valley culture already had it, right? And so this was an annual reminder of when this happened during the 4th century, after a vision guided her to the burial site. But here in Ethiopia, Meskel is was taken it's taken on a larger meaning. It just evolves. What's going on, One Voice Africa? Shout out to Brother Isu. Shout out to the fam. Yeah, we back. I tried to come back last week, but can't, right? But greet everybody as you come in. I'm very thankful that the fam has come back. The alumni is back in the mix. I'm just very grateful. So he says greetings. And so this is an annual event. And get this, this is not even on my notes, but this is happening right during the time when Sirius and Orion is started to be seen early in the morning. Okay. For those who are familiar with that, a lot of the ancient customs are connected to stars, to various constellations that show up in different parts and points of the year. And so Ethiopian New Year, shout out to the Ethiopian fam. I believe their New Year is around September 16th or the 21st, around the equinox. Okay, what's going on, Sister Linda? Yeah, she says, good evening, everyone. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. But yes, we're back in the full effect, and I'm just grateful. But yeah, in Ethiopian tradition, the smoke of the bonfires is rising to represent the prayers. You see what I'm saying? It represents the supplications ascending to God, guiding the faithful, just as the smoke guided the queen. This was, I guess you could say, a large incense burner, right? He said, I'm ready. Yeah, we're back. I had like a 2-week break, but guess what? Uh, I got a book that Baba Yakia referred me to. It's called The Africans Who Wrote the Bible. Yeah. I've been reading up on that. So, yeah, today this show is dedicated to some of the loved ones that I've lost. As of recently, my mother-in-law passed away a couple of weeks ago to stage 4 cancer. She, so she passed away, and we laid her to rest. So this show is dedicated to Sheila Burley, and so, but yeah, so this is a very special episode. All right, now, so the question is, what does it truly mean to find the cross? Why does the cross stand at the center of space and time and consciousness? And how does the story of the second Adam, or Kadest, transform humanity's fall into resurrection, right? There's always some form of, even in the Christian tradition, even in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church tradition, there is a death, burial, and resurrection. Even when the priests and the kings of Egypt went through that process, they went through a similar process of being reborn, right? And so, number 4, how can symbols, the first language of man, still speak to our higher consciousness, right? And so, now today we're going to talk about from Jerusalem to Axum, the historical claim, the naked cross, the Christ or Ka-rest as the second Adam, symbols as the first language, the Coptic connection. Yes, there is a connection to the Coptic church, right? So yeah, this is our Ethiopian Cushion Kemet, and if you just remember this is one of our major pillars. I'm very excited because we're back. But pillar 1, Ethiopia, the source of sanctuary. This is where we are going to hang out today. Pillar number 2, Kemet, the blueprint of sacred civilization. Number 3, Kush Nubia, the corridor of continuity. And number 4, oh man, y'all, there's a couple of things that's coming up in these next few weeks. Get ready, because I got something up my sleeve when it comes down to Karnak's temple. Yeah, for Brother Ferguson in the back and Brother Mo, they like the esoteric, so we're gonna deal with that in a few weeks. Matter of fact, next week, since I'm back off break, we finna have a good time. Now, so from Jerusalem to Axum, the historical claim. Now, to understand this festival, to understand this event, we must trace the journey from that sacred point from Jerusalem to Axum. And I know I haven't been back to ancient Axum. We're going to return to that also. But yeah, the Kebra Nagast, Ethiopia's national epic. It is a book, the Kebra Nagast. It tells the story of Menelik I, the son of King Solomon, and the Queen of Sheba. Now, according to the Kebra Nagast, which I got that too. According to Kebra Nagast, the ark was brought from Jerusalem to Ethiopia. Some people like to be a naysayer and be a hater, say it was stolen. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to play those games, right? So it ensured that God's divine presence was with the people of Ethiopia, right? The very symbol of God dwelling among his people would continue to be unbroken even in Africa, right? And so, and then there's verses that talk about Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hands unto God. Ethiopia saw itself not as an outsider, but as part of this tradition. Okay, it was part of it, and so this is part of Israel's covenant. And like I said before, this is not a theology class. However, if we're going to engage and deal with Ethiopia, we got to talk about the things they believe in. You see what I'm saying? All right, so this conviction was It was symbolic, but in the DMT period, the Demet period before Axum rose to power, Ethiopian kings already claimed divine lineage. And we talked about them when we talked about ancient Kush, how those leaders and kings, they came into power by some kind of divine ascension, right? Or some kind of divine kingship. And so Ethiopia had become one of the first nations on earth to adopt, say, Christianity as the state's faith in centuries before Europe. So now get this. In Axum, St. Mary's Church of Zion, St. Mary of Zion Church, the Ethiopian Orthodox Christians believe the ark still rests there. And I read a few things. I read the sign and the seal. Do I have the book in here? No, it's not up here. But the sign and the seal, we had a discussion about that the ark is in Ethiopia, okay? And the ark still rests under guardianship of a single monk who never leaves the chapel, okay? Just as Jerusalem had its temple, just like it had a sacred space, Axum became this new Zion. That's the reason why a lot of Ethiopian kings believe that Ethiopia is the new Jerusalem, right? And so think about and this just real quick, just think about the guardians of the ark. According to Ethiopian tradition, the ark was brought, like I said, to Axum by Menelik, and they was the son of Solomon and Queen of Sheba. Some people may dispute that. We ain't got time for that today. Market Ethiopia as the true continuation of the Solomonic covenant. Now, this is what I've learned the last month or so as we're going through Ethiopia's a history, that this Solomonic dynasty was not a straight line. It was not. It crisscrossed. It traversed. It's pretty interesting, especially when it comes down to the era of princes, the Zamani Mesafint, where everybody laid claim to this kind of rulership. So, but according to tradition, this sacred transference placed Ethiopia at the center of divine lineage with the responsibility to preserve both the relic and cosmic agreement, right? So the ark resides in the Church of St. Mary, watched over by a single guardian. Once this person is chosen, he remains celibate and ritually pure until death. Nah, it may be an honor. Like if they chose me, say, hey, I appreciate it, but what'd you say? What was the rules again? So, but yeah, you gotta be a strong brother for that one. You gotta be a strong one. So, but yeah, now the guardian undergoes esoteric rites. Everything has some kind of duality. Everything has some kind. It's not just surface where they're just a priest. They go through a process that include fasting, sacred reading of hidden scrolls, and deep communion with the ark's spiritual frequency. Everything has an energy. Everything has a frequency. This person's role is more than ceremonial. He is understood as to be spiritually connected or merged with the ark. And this pick is done by the New York Post. Shout out to New York Post. Many believe that the guardian communicates with the divine entities, with the angels, and receive dreams and visions connected to the destiny of the Ethiopian people. Yeah. Tradition is rooted in the Zadokite priesthood. Shout out to the Zadokite priesthood, a Levitical line of high priests from the first temple of Jerusalem. Ethiopia is said to have preserved the lineage long after it was suppressed or destroyed in the Near East. Okay, now really quick. In a mystical tradition, the ark represents the Merkava, the divine chariot or throne described in the book of Ezekiel for those who are Bible scholars, right? It is viewed as the multidimensional portal, a vessel through which divine presence enters into the physical world. Okay, constructed of acacia wood overlaid with gold, the ark is also seen as a divine capacitor capable of storing and radiating spiritual energy. And shout out to our elder Baba Yaki. He mentions how some of the obelisks in Kemet, as well as other parts of Africa, may have been a conduit or may have been a conductor that aided and assisted travel, interspace travel. Interesting. So, constructed in acacia wood overlaid with gold, the ark is also seen as a divine capacity, capable of spiritual energy, a fusion of the mortal and immortal realms between the seen and the unseen. Now, if you want to know more about that, I do have an episode on that. Check out the Rise and Fall, Knights, Codes, and Ethiopian Stronghold, right? But get this. Get this. I'm going a little ahead of myself, but think about if the sun has set in Jerusalem after the crucifixion, it rose again in Ethiopia. In my opinion, Ethiopia became the living Jerusalem, and so the Kebra Nagast tells us how Manalek, the son of Solomon and Sheba, carried the Ark of the Covenant from Jerusalem to Ethiopia. And for Ethiopia, this is not a story tale. This is not a fairy tale. This is destiny. This is power. And the ark made Axum the new Zion. And Kebra Nagast, chapter 54, it says, and Zion went forth with them in joy, and the hearts of the people were strengthened in her. Now, a lot of people say Zion is a place, which can be, but it also can represent, Zion can also represent the ark itself. That's what I just learned. I learned according to the Kebra Nagast, the ark can be seen as Zion. And so to this day, this is guarded. This sacred place and space is guarded, right? And so when we have this kind of information, what do we do with that? What do we do with that? Okay. What do we do? Some people like to have information just to have it, but you got to do something with it, right? And so far we talked about from Jerusalem to Axum. Next, coming up, we're going to talk about the naked cross, Christ or Kadest, as the second Adam, symbols as the first language and Coptic connection. If you want to learn more about Ethiopia, Kemet, and Kush, like and subscribe. If you want to learn more about that, let's learn together. If you want to know more about Nile Valley culture or some pretty good books on the culture, hit the like button, subscribe. Let's go. The naked cross. Okay. The naked cross. When we speak of, say, the cross, we must distinguish between the crucifix or the actual item. The crucifix shows suffering and pain. The naked cross reveals I guess you would say, a mystery, right? And so you have that vertical line. You have the vertical line that pierces space between heaven and earth, connecting the eternal and the non-eternal, right? The horizontal line stretches across history, struggle, and human existence. And at the center is the intersection stands Christ or Kadest. That is the axis mundi. Okay, the world axis, the living bridge between time and eternity, right? And so in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, they have hymns about the cross. It's called the Meskel Square, the cross of exaltation, not humiliation, exaltation, right? It's not only, say, a burden carrier, but also a portal, in a sense, the door through which death is reversed. Okay, think about Ethiopian crosses are never plain. They are woven into patterns, endless knot. Let me see if I got an example of that. I do not have the example of it. Where it go? I'm sorry. I had the example of it. I'm really disappointed in that. They're woven with sacred patterns and sacred geometry, and here it is. Boom. There it is. Okay, so I lost it. And so the Ethiopian crosses were never plain. They were woven in lattice patterns, endless knots without beginning or end. Why? Because for Ethiopia, the cross was never about death alone, but it was about infinity, right? The unbroken cycle of life and spirit. And so the enemy thought the cross would end life, but according to Ethiopian tradition, Christ made it a doorway to eternal life. You see what I'm saying? And so we'll get back to the symbolism in a few minutes. But yeah, so when we think about that tradition, we can't neglect it, right? We can't neglect, when we think about Ethiopia, we cannot separate Ethiopia from that tradition, right? It will be wrong. And so let me see here. Now, here we go. Christ as or Christ as the second Adam. In the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, Christ is sung as the new Adam, the one who reversed the first Adam, and you can see that in like say I think in Romans 5, and if you have a Bible, Romans 5 and 1 Corinthians chapter 15, where Adam fell in the garden and Christ began his agony in the garden in Gethsemane, right? Where here's where Adam's disobedience brought death, but Christ's obedience brought life, right? So for 3 days, Yeshua descended into the depths of death, into Sheol, according to their tradition, sealing the victory from within. Now, the Ethiopian tradition records that on Holy Saturday, he broke the gates of brass and shattered the bars of iron. Basically, he broke death. In other words, he could not be defeated. This was more of a conquest, more of a victory, right? And so in Ethiopian iconography, Christ is shown trampling the gates of hell, trampling the enemies, pulling Adam and Eve out and many others out by their wrists. Okay. And so in their traditions, he broke the gates of brass and cut asunder the bars of iron and led forth the captives from Hades and brought them into light. And the thing is, there's not just just one aspect, but we all have to be brought from darkness into light in one point or another. This is why Ethiopian icons show these images. And the thing is, we have gotten to the point, and I really agree with Baba about this, that we always say, what book did you get that, or what did you read that? But the reality is, sometimes things aren't written. There's things that are experienced. See what I'm saying? And so, in Ge'ez, the hymn or the resurrection chant, death is swallowed up by victory, for the second Adam is triumphant. And the resurrection is not an event, it's a rewriting of human history. And speaking of Ge'ez, shout out to our brother Isu. Shout out to brother Isu, One Voice Africa. He has a book. He has a book, Ge'ez Alphabet Amharic. He's breaking down the Amharic alphabet, and it's a coloring book. So shout out to brother Isu. The thing is, it's not just about learning information; it's about doing something with it. So I'm very proud of brother Isu Bekele, One Voice Africa. Got a book. Check it out. Right now, coming up, Ethiopia versus Europe. Yes, there is coming up in another week or so, Ethiopia versus Europe. And we're going to talk about the big three. We're going to talk about the big three. We're going to talk about Theodros. We're going to talk about Johannes IV and also Menelik II. Right when they transitioned from the 1800s all the way, from the 19th century into the 20th century. What did they do? Why is Italy so mad all the time? Why? As a matter of fact, how come Britain left? They basically left Ethiopia, but one colonizer leaves and another one tries to come in. We'll talk about that Clash of Empires. We're going to get into that. So now, we're going to talk about Menelik II, the great Menelik II. I'm learning so much new stuff every day from this small little book here, the Ethiopians of History. We're almost done with it. We're almost done with the book. Get it. Go and check that out. And so, but yeah, let's get to symbols as the first language. All right. Before humanity wrote books, it carved symbols. That's what it is. Before it could speak philosophy, it chanted in rhythm. Okay, symbols are the first language. Symbols are the first language. So the oral tradition, the first visible, this first something invisible became visible by using symbols. So together they carried the psycho-spiritual consciousness, truth that was both seen and heard, both silent and sung, right? The cross itself was whispered in symbols long before the crucifixion. Ethiopian crosses with their endless knots are themselves by itself theology. Sermons in metal, okay? Each twist and turn was a visual hymn to infinity, unity, and divine mystery, okay? Now, in Ge'ez, the word cross is Meskel. That's what I learned. I get this. I learned this. And correct me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong, but The word for cross is Meskel, Meskel. It's stretched and prolonged melody, and as though the singers are weaving sound into the symbols. You know, we as African people always have a sound to whatever we do. It's never silent with us. Even our silence makes noise, right? And so the symbols speak silently, but they're louder than words. You see what I'm saying? When louder than words when the spirit deciphers them. You know, so many things seen and unseen. Long before scripture was written, symbols carry truth. That's why the meta nature is so important. Okay, the cross, even before Christ was already embedded in the human soul as a sign of eternity. Now, some people may differ, of course, when it come down when they ascribe it to the Western tradition, but they, of course, because we have in the Nile Valley culture and the Ethiopian and the Coptic church still uses the Ankh also. So, yeah, the cross is in a sense a crown and victory according to the Ethiopian hymn, a staff for the weak and a key of the kingdom. Symbols are the visible language. Okay, oral tradition is invisible language. So together they shape the spiritual consciousness of Ethiopia. Okay, so when priests lift the cross in procession, they cover it with silk veils, then unveil it before the faithful, before those who believe. Right, teaching the truth may be veiled, but but it's never absent. Right. So, all right, here we go. The Coptic connection. What is the Coptic church doing? What is going on in the Coptic tradition? Right. One cross, two traditions. But I got a question. Now I got a question for the fam. Okay, since we're back, I always have some kind of question or whatever. Yeah, are you more than welcome, One Voice Africa? I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. So the question is: walk through Axum's obelisk or Lalibella's rock-hewn church? Like and comment below. Go see the obelisk or visit the rock-hewn churches. Now, fam, I'm gonna say this. This is a very special episode, so this is gonna be we doing something light today, but I felt it was necessary to celebrate when Ethiopia is celebrating. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the Coptic connection. So before we go deeper, let's take a moment and look beyond Ethiopia, go further north. Did you know that the Coptic church in Egypt also celebrates the feast of the True Cross? Also, I didn't know that. I knew that they had some similar events, but I didn't know they were celebrating about the same time. In the Coptic tradition, it is called the exaltation of the cross every year on 17 Ta'ut or Tahuti. Get this, the Coptic church, some of their months are named after Neteru. I'm saying some of their months are named after the Neteru. All right, but yeah. Go to Sister Linda said go to the church from. Yeah, I would do that. I would want to go to, I'm talking about all expenses paid and everything, and that'll be great. That'll be great to go to the Ethiopia and fellowship and go to the churches. Yeah, that'd be cool. One Voice Africa says go to Axum. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna try to go both. All right. The Blue Area said Lalibela. I would go to the churches. I would go and just to be in that space. There's such history, older than a lot of things that we know or even understand. Man, right? Yeah, I would go. I would go. Yeah, I would. And so on this day, according this is the event where they would commemorate Queen Helena's discovery of the true cross. On this day, according to Coptic tradition, according to Coptic script, the cross of the Lord is exalted, and the people rejoice in his salvation. For by it was life restored to Adam and Eve. Now, this is according to Coptic tradition, right? The focus in Egypt is liturgical and devotional. The faithful participate in processions inside the church, special prayers and hymns celebrating the victory of Christ or Christ through the cross. There are no public bonfires like in Ethiopia, though. It's not. Brother Ferguson says churches. Yep. And you came just in time, sir. I got something for you. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. So there are no public bonfires like Ethiopia, but the heart of the celebration is honoring the cross as an instrument of salvation. That is what they share. That is the tradition. So now, I got a question. I got one, because I'm always asking questions, right? Type if you want to see the Ethiopian bonfires at the Meskel, type Ethiopia, or if you want to go with the Coptic and visit with them, type in Coptic. So I want to know, but think about this. There is a link between both traditions. There is. Their origins come from Jerusalem and the Queen Helena. Both honor the same cross, but Ethiopia brings it into a national and cosmic symbolism. Bonfires, Axum, and the Ark of the Covenant, the mystical intersection of time and space. Meanwhile, the Copts in Egypt preserve it as an ancient liturgy and devotion, keeping the cross at the center of spiritual life. So, whether it's in Egypt or Ethiopia, the cross is living and powerful and eternal to them in their tradition. It unites us across geography, culture, and for centuries, right? He's fam saying Coptic. Yeah, I would go and see that, because get this, the Coptic script. The Coptic script is, let's see, is a Greek version of the meta nature, or the phonics of it. You see what I'm saying? I would do that. I would do that. I would do that. So there is a connection between the Coptic and the Ethiopian church, even though the even though they Ethiopia eventually split from the Coptic church, because long story short, they wanted to stand on their own too, have their own bishops and everything. They said, look, we believe the same things, but we're tired of sending letters requesting somebody to teach us how to baptize people. So now we're going to get back to the fires of Meskel. Remember, the cross is not only a relic, not only a story, but a cosmic sign of a spiritual reality. Okay, and a bridge connecting Jerusalem, Axum, and every believer in that tradition watching this event, right? And once again, if you like it, subscribe. But get this, I had to push this episode back, but yeah, 7 Heteru. Yeah, we coming back to that. We coming back to that. We got to do that. We got to break down a little bit of esoteric knowledge for Brother Ferguson and Brother Mo. We're going to get into some detail. We're going to get, I came back off this break ready to roll. So now, but get this. There are some people that may be naysayers. Whenever truth appears, manipulation follows, right? The enemy always sought to dilute symbols and always try to turn progress to regression, right? So, yet Ethiopia stood as a witness across centuries of invasion, colonization, and attempted erasure. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tawahedo Church and its people preserved its own canon, its own ideas, and its own liturgy, right? And so, festivals like the Meskel is still intact, okay? When others fell to distortion and confusion. While westernized Christianity often replaced the cross with pain and suffering, Ethiopia exalted it and made it into something victorious, right? Kissed by the faithful and held high by priests in moments of blessing. For Ethiopia, the cross would never be reduced to just death. It's always light, right? So they will move their veil aside, but they will move the veil aside so truth can be revealed. And so now the Kebra and Nagast, it says, for the kingdom of Ethiopia is the kingdom of Zion and the law of God. is with them forever. That is the Ethiopian Kebra Nagast. When others replace the cross with suffering, Ethiopia is exalted. They changed everything. And so now, as we get back to the bonfire, the fire of Meskel, the flames rise like prayers, like visions, like thoughts and dreams, like the cross itself, lifting from earth to heaven. Uh, and so here's the thing: the good soul. It says somebody asked me a question, and he said, could you, if you're going to go there, discuss the good soil?" Okay, the good soil in Ethiopia but it's there, but it's written in a sense where it encompasses the whole land of Ethiopia. Okay, the ancient Axum, the ancient tradition. So when you put the story of the Meskel, this is the eternal intersection of space and time within within the human soul, within the land and the hearts of the people, where death is reversed and life begins anew. So today, as Ethiopia lights the fires, may we also light a fire within ourselves. Okay, may we carry that thought as a burden, not a burden of sorrow, but of renewal and hope. Right, and so, all right, now, like now, get this. We talked about a little bit, just a little refresher. Welcome everybody back. Ethiopia, the source of sanctuary. Pillar 2, Kemet, the blueprint of sacred civilization. Number 3, Kush and Nubia, the corridor of continuity. Number 4, the hidden codes, spiritual science symbols, and the esoteric legacy of Africa. Now, here's the book. I know some of you guys got the book. We're almost done with Ethiopians in history, and the episodes are already out. Okay, we got a few more left. The next book, I think we're going to start in November, an African history of Africa, and Zainab Badawi. She's cooking. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. She's really good. I'm already like in chapter 3 already. All right. The Orthodox Church of Ethiopia, history by John Benz, Binns. Checked it out. The affiliate links are in the description. History of Ethiopia by Harold Marcus and the Ethiopian Borderlands by Richard Pankhurst. This is our book. We got a few more chapters left, and we're going to finish strong. I'm enjoying it. This is great. And this is yours. This is my book from yours truly, The Crusades in Jihad in East Africa. I may do a special few episodes covering this book, so get ready. We'll see. Now, coming up, yeah, we're going to get into the big 3. We're going to talk about Theodorus. Okay, we're going to talk about Johannes Menelik and the European powers. They got into it. They said, look, if you're not going to help us, get out of our land, get out of our way. Yeah, that's coming up. And I also talked about the rise of Theodorus. I talked about him. I already got the video out, but yeah. And this for Brother Ferguson right here. This is it. Here it is. We're gonna get into some esoteric. We're gonna get into that. Karnak's hypostyle hall. I've been touching a little bit of the temple of Luxor, but now I'm gonna break some stuff down. Yeah, I see what happens when I go on break. I start thinking. Yeah, and I'm telling you, I was working on some of that today, and I got a few things. I got like some initiations in there. I got some meta nature in there, and a priest. Yeah. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do it. Right. So we're gonna talk about Karnak's hypostyle hall. That is gonna come out. I'm hoping this Thursday. It's gonna come out this Thursday. So, and Tasseti's legacy. Brother Mo and so many others have asked about the different tribes in Tasseti or different tribes in Sudan. It wasn't just the Magi. It wasn't just the people of Napata. It was so many different groups that was active all at the same time. We're gonna have to talk about it. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Tasseti and the first thrones, Nubia before Kemet. Yep. I don't care who get mad. I don't care. This is my doggone podcast. You understand? I don't care what's been happening the last month and a half. People starting to emerge and starting to say words saying that Egypt was basically civilized before Nubia. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And Pharaoh's lost tombs, unveiling undiscovered royal burial sites. We're going to talk about some of the burial sites of these pharaohs. Yeah, that's what happened when you put me on break. And Tutankhamun's tomb, King Tut's tomb. We're going to break that down. That's coming up also. So, and Brother Mo asked me about the Nubians that helped or taught Howard Carter. We're going to get into that. Yeah, we're going to deal with that. So, before we go, I got to shout out the Ujumbe members. I got to shout out the fam. Shout out to Sister Abina Scott, Brother Mo. Brother Mo, shout out to him. I know he's actively engaged, trying to level up in his career. And shout out to Brother Isu, One Voice Africa. You guys are awesome. Join the membership, because membership has its privileges. Why? Because they get all the new videos. And matter of fact, they've been helping me with some of these ideas and concepts. Yeah. Yeah, see this, Brother Ferguson. This what happens when I'm on 2-week break. See, I start thinking up stuff. Yeah, I start doing stuff. But I think the fam is ready. I think the fam is ready to get into some more symbolism and esoteric information. See what I'm saying? I think it's necessary that we all grow and we all learn something new. See what I'm saying? And so, yeah, we're going to talk about the forest, the stone tablets of the forest. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the priests of Amun and some of their initiation process. Yep, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. So, yeah, I feel it's only right to get into it. So, yeah. So, and so join the membership. Membership has its privileges, and they get heads up on all the videos and everything. And shout out to the fam. And roll call. I'm checking roll. Shout out to Sister Linda that came by, Miss Blue. Shout out to the fam. One Voice Africa, Brother Ferguson. And so I really appreciate you guys. And let me see. Shout out to Comedic Nation. Oh, we're gonna bring back Comedic Nation again. We're gonna bring them back again. Shout out to Brother Edwin Moore, Kenneth Mentor, Jimmy Fungus, Nelson Sandoval, Shaku, Sadiq A, and Theo B. We're gonna bring back Theo B too. We're gonna bring him back too. And so Tiarka, BWE, Shabir Khan, Sister Linda, Baba Yakya. Check out Baba Yakya. He has a great podcast. He has a great YouTube channel. Check it out. Mia Plays. Shout out to Freedom Library Without Borders. I think Library Without Borders has a series, like a fall series of books. Check it out. Check out Soul Zenith and Sister Macy. And like I said before, this episode is dedicated to my mother-in-law, Sheila Burley, who passed away about a week ago. And she lost a battle with stage 4 cancer. And, it's been kind of rough. So pray for the fam, pray for the Burleys and the Camerons and everybody. And also, I think there was a celebration in Ethiopia recently where I think the church scaffolding collapsed and some people passed away there too. So even while people are celebrating religiously and at the religious festivals, got to be careful. So this building, I think in Ethiopia, I don't know the exact name. Y'all just type it in the comments. Just let me know. It collapsed. Okay, so but yeah, much love, peace and love to the fam, and yeah, this is dedicated to my mother-in-law, Miss Sheila Burley, right? And so, if you like the content, share with somebody that may enjoy it, and share it to your social media of choice. So today, this is just a little light work today. We talked about from Jerusalem to Axum, the historical claim, the naked cross, Christ Eucharist as the second Adam, symbols as the first language, Coptic connection. We talked about Meskel, the hidden journey of the true cross. And so you listen to King Cam Ujumbe Podcast, Ujumbe means message. And if you want to catch up with Ethiopia, the source of sanctuary, I have a playlist for you. If you want to catch up with another video, I have that too. Before we go, are there any questions or concerns? Before we go, are there any questions or concerns? All right. Yeah, we got a few things rolling. Don't forget to check the book out. You know, we got a few more weeks on that. And we got a few things going. So get ready. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be great. But I really appreciate you guys coming back. You know, this is gonna be good. If there's nothing else, this is the King Cam Ujumbe Podcast, Ujumbe means message, and we just talked about Meskel, the hidden journey of the true cross. And I will talk to you later.